Hi everybody, I'm Brooke Sanders, and this is Johnstown's Finest. We are talking to Tylor Clark. He is running for City Council. So thanks for being with us today.
No, thank you. I appreciate you coming.
Great. So let's just jump right into some questions that we have, and then we have questions from our community.
Sure.
Alrighty. What do you believe is the role of the City Council in our community?
To me, the role of City Council is to talk with people and to listen.
Do you think you have any personal or professional relationships that could become a conflict of interest while serving as a City Council member?
No. I have a lot of personal and professional relationships through business, of course, but not that would ever conflict with what I do on a governmental basis.
What is your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues without, all of the drama that we have experienced in the past?
Simply put, listen. It's important to listen to your constituents outside of that venue, I guess you'd say, outside of that setting. And then the actual meeting itself should be run parliamentary as anywhere else is. There's rules and regulations to meetings like that. They should not go off script, or not even go off script, that's not the right term, but they should not go awry. Now, listening and talking to people before or after, that's one thing, that's fine. But in the setting of a formal meeting, we need to be able to listen and understand each other in a respectful way.
Good. So I'm going to ask a little follow-up question. So what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if the city is listening, if the council is listening
Yes.
to the community effectively, so that they don't come into the council meetings all hot-headed because
Right.
they've been engaged already.
Right, and that's the thing. I think there's been a problem with that, and I'm never going to blame any single council person or anything like that. But I think that listening has been an issue for quite some time. Since I started doing this, my whole goal has been to listen and understand.
Okay, that's good, because that's what we need. Because I think that at 28%, here and everywhere else, maybe people feel like they're not being heard.
Exactly.
So they just check out, and we want better for our community, don't we?
We need better.
Yes, we do need better. Okay, based on what you know about city government, what do you see as top priority for the city?
Expanding business. One of the things that is very important to me that I'm going to be working with city manager and city council now, and hopefully we won't have to work on it too much in the future, but one of the biggest gripes that I've heard about business downtown is parking. Right. So my whole issue with that is Bedford has done it, other places have done it, where they've seen a very high turnout of people coming into the city when they make parking free.
Yes, I agree with you. This is what I've been hearing from community.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to focus. Top priority is enhancing business downtown. And that's just a way of doing that.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
so by dealing with the parking issue, you feel that you'll be able to draw more people into the community.
Exactly.
I see, into downtown.
Exactly. Consumers and hopefully mercantile businesses as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so while everybody is paying attention to downtown businesses, which is of course great, because we do know that is supposed to be the heartbeat of any community.
Right.
What about the businesses that are not downtown? It seems to me, in my experience of working with these small mom and pops for 4 years now, making almost 100 videos for this community featuring these folks.
Right.
It seems to me that the outside of downtown businesses are sort of treated like they're redheaded stepchildren.
Second class.
They are not being, excuse me folks, they don't feel seen.
Right.
How are you going to deal with that?
So my answer to that is going to be simple, because I do talk a lot about downtown, and I have. Don't get me wrong.
Everybody does.
And that's just because that's where the heartbeat of what we do is, right?
Yes.
But what I've mentioned many times before, and I'm going to mention now and will in the future, is we cannot forget about the neighborhoods, right? The city is not just downtown Johnstown, right? I live in Roxbury, which is, in my opinion, the best neighborhood in the city, of course, because I live there. But
West End is the best.
there you
end.
go. That's right. West End, best end,
Yeah.
right? But we need to not just pay attention to that, but especially when we receive monies. In fact, we just allocated monies to different groups within the West End for improvement just last week, just at the skate park, and I think park on J Street as well. So we need to remember those communities and not just solely focus on downtown. Don't get me wrong, of course, downtown should be the gem.
Yes, but I think that, we can walk and chew gum at the same
Absolutely,
time,
yeah.
and we can take care of all of the businesses, not just
Yes.
focus on one area.
Exactly. There are many other businesses, not just businesses, but residents as well, outside of downtown that have been doing great and wonderful things that I think are left out of the spotlight.
Well, that's why I've been featuring them.
Yeah,
I've
right.
made over 100 videos on our small mom and pop businesses here, and I'm
Right.
keeping going forward doing that as I broaden my platform and start dealing with some of our local politicians here.
Right.
Yes, I
If
think
there's-
it's very important.
If there's one thing I could add to that too,
Yes.
that I think would be part of this question, would be my whole goal, and I'm going to start doing this at the end of this month, and then hopefully 1 or 2 a month moving forward, is I'm going to each neighborhood, right? I'm going to hold town halls in each neighborhood and listen to their concerns about what they want me to focus on, right? And we're going to start in Roxbury, of course, because that's where I live. We're going to go to Moxham. We're going to go to Hornerstown. We're even going to go to Dale, even though that's not part of the city, because they're right there. They're so close.
They're our neighbors.
Exactly.
Right.
And we're going to go to Old Conomo Borough. We're going to go downtown. We're going to go to the West End. We're going to go everywhere in the city to hold town hall meetings and just have people talk and listen to me. Or not listen to me listen to them and
Answering
understand.
questions.
Yeah. And even if I can't answer a question, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll say, I don't know. Give me time to find that out.
That's beautiful.
So.
Okay, so then I will commit to you that I will cover these.
Oh,
town
well, that's
halls,
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, and then
Thank
they
you.
will be on Johnstown's Finest YouTube channel, so folks that can't get to the town halls, they can still contribute.
That'd be wonderful.
And I will ask community also to submit questions if they can't be there, and then we can read them out.
Yes, please. I would love that.
That's my commitment to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so let's jump back into some of these questions. Let's hear about your community involvement in our city.
Sure.
Yeah.
That started a long time ago. So I have to talk about my family before I talk about me, because that's where it all starts. My grandfather was very involved in local community. He was at one time president, I don't know if it was president or chairman or something like that, of the Downtown Retail Committee when that was here. He was chairman of the board at Lee Hospital. He was involved in so many different things. My dad at the same time did the same thing. My dad was involved with so many different organizations that either are still around and not as, I guess, not popular, but aren't at the same level that they were back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but are still around. He was involved in Kiwanis. He was involved in the JCs, and he was actually the youngest president of the JCs when the JCs were huge. So that community involvement, I think, has been ingrained in me since I was a kid.
I see.
So-
So it's really part of your DNA.
It really is, and
I
so
love
is
that.
civic involvement too.
Yes.
Very first involvement was I started volunteering on campaigns when I was 12, right?
Oh.
And the very first one was with John Murtha.
I see.
Then that went to Obama's campaign in
I
2008.
see.
Then that went to Congressman Kritz, and so on and so forth. I did a lot of that community involvement. So as of now, what I do, as far as community is concerned, is for the past 5 years now, I've been a board member on the Johnstown Old Timers, which is the agency that runs the AAABA each year, which is the longest standing event in the city. You know, that we're going 80 years
Yeah, that's right.
is this year.
Yes, that's
and it
right.
brings a lot of people into the city,
Yes.
and it's just great for the city. I'm also on the Police Advisory Board, which is an advisory board that was, I think, created in the late 90s. I can't remember the exact day or the exact year that was created, but what that was created to bridge the gap between the community and policing, right? And to listen and understand the concerns of the citizens and bridge that with our current police. And that's been going great. I'm going on 4 years of doing that now. In other aspects, whatever I can do for the community, one of the things that I like to talk about the most was during COVID. So we also own Coney Island, and during COVID, one of my main things that I thought about that really bothered me was when everyone was locked down and schools were closed. A lot of times, some children's only meals were at schools. So for 2 years, we offered free lunch and free dinner to all children under the age of 13, or no, 15. I think it was where we capped it off at, from 11 to 1 and from 5 to 7 every day for 2 years at Coney Island during COVID.
Oh, bless you. And
half the
people were
time.
running around, what can I do? And you said, I know what I can do.
Right.
And you did it.
And
That's really great.
And others followed suit with that too. I mean, when Saskatoon's Market in Old Columba Borough, some people call that the blue store, right? Because it's a blue building. When they heard about that, they put a collection out there to donate to us every week. And they did it for almost 2 years. Yeah. Sheets even expanded a program like that after we did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
you lead by example.
I try.
Yes, well, you certainly did in that instance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. So then I'm going to ask you this question. I'm assuming since you think it's important to keep our children fed.
Yeah.
What is your thought process about children now not being able to be fed at school due to some funding issues?
That's obviously I don't have any direct effect on that.
But what are your thoughts?
It's deplorable to me. There's not much more I can say other than that. I think it's, I understand that certain funding cuts might be necessary. Sure, I understand that. But not to essential programs. And not to things that affect so many people at one time so quickly.
And they are your constituents.
Exactly.
That you are, taking care of.
Exactly.
And these things are happening upstairs. And when we have
with no care of the people downstairs.
That's what it seems, right? But
no, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that for our community, I'm talking to you right now, that if you don't like what's going on upstairs, take care of your downstairs.
Yes.
And that's your local fellas, like this
Absolutely.
gentleman here. And equally, if you do like what's going on upstairs, then you can vote accordingly to keep it that way. That's why I'm here to speak to all of you.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is from Aaron B. off of nextdoor.com.
Okay.
And Aaron wants to know, he's in the Walnut Grove area, and he wants to know, what issues do you think is the most pressing to the city and your plan to help solve that issue?
That's a very good question. I would say, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I'm going to say that the most pressing issue is to get more business in the area, okay? I'm not talking about just downtown, just in the area. And one of them, as I sit here right now, as the oldest business in the city, is retail, right? We have lots of restaurants, and I am thankful for them.
They're good.
They're
We're
great.
Wonderful food here.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. And it's only gotten better in the past 5 years.
Yes.
And it continues to do so. But what we really need, that we're really missing down here, not just downtown, but throughout the entire city, is retail. So I think bringing more business into the city is probably my main priority. And to be able to do that is what I was talking about earlier, is going to start off with trying to get free parking downtown. And when we can move throughout the city after that. But to start it downtown is important, right? Other communities have done that and seen great success. And our busiest day, just from personal experience, our busiest day every single week, no matter what time of the year it is, here and over at Coney Island, is always Saturday. What's every Saturday?
Well, it's free parking.
Free parking, right?
Right.
So, and people look forward to that. And I think I know other businesses plan around that. They plan specials around those days because we know we're going to get an influx of people. And no one should be penalized for wanting to do business in the city.
No, of course not.
Whether
That's
a consumer...
That's just silliness, right? I mean, that's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Exactly right.
Do
Exactly.
you agree or disagree with this? some folks, a lot of folks over the hill, right, are afraid of coming into downtown because they fear of crime. Do you agree with this or disagree with this?
I think I agree with that's the general consensus, but that
It's not reality.
it's not reality. If you look at police reports, and you can go back, I think at least 5 years on this, and look at crime rates throughout the entire city, every sector of the city, the safest place in the city is downtown, and it's not close either.
No.
So that's just, I think that's a thought process that people have, but it's just not true.
Okay, so if it's not true, then how is the council going to, change this reputation?
Yeah.
What is your goal to lift that sort of cloud
Sure.
off of our downtown?
Well, I think one of the things that I have to say about the past council that was really good was we got out of the distress status, right? So I think that was a cloud over us for years and years and years. We're not in that anymore. And one of the main things that we can do is work with other non-governmental organizations, right? Whoever that might be, to really showcase what we do have here and what we can have in the future. We've been doing that for years. I think it's going on, I can't remember exactly what year this is, it might be 10 or 12, of a taste and tour, Rediscover Downtown Johnstown, where people come in and every business stays open. Most businesses stay open later, so we can showcase what we have, right? That's
So-
part of it. We need to do more than that, but that's part of it.
So in 5 years, you've been doing the taste of downtown?
Longer than that, yeah.
Okay. Do you have numbers showing that event consistently brings people over the hill to Johnstown, downtown Johnstown, or if it's just for that event?
Yes, that's a good question. I know for the event itself, it does.
Yes,
That's for
we
sure.
do- we have
The
a good
numbers go up
turnout.
every single year.
Yes.
But consistently, I can say from our business perspective, I'm not positive if it's just from that event, because we started reinventing ourselves before that started. And I can say from what we've done, it's brought people in. That's for
Interesting.
sure.
Good.
But I'm not positive that would be the same across the board. I can't say that.
Okay, so what is your take on, this is of course a big controversy going on in our community about the downtown, our park.
Yes.
So what is your thoughts on this?
That is complicated to me, because I believe the last time anything was done that was different, I guess you'd say, in the park was when Morley's dog was removed, right? And the Pascarella fountain was put in. I didn't have a vote on that.
People were upset about Morley's dog leaving.
Exactly, right. And it's still downtown. But what I can say about this now, right, is the fact that this is happening. Like, we know it is. My thought process on it personally is that I think the money could
as
have...
a city council member, because
Right.
what is your, is that a good use of money for Johnstown, or could that money be used elsewhere? Do you think that would be better?
Well, that's the thing. You can say that about anything, right? You can say money could be used better at any...
That's a good politician's question.
It is,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
Answering.
my belief is that I think the money could have been used better elsewhere.
Okay.
Now, with what they do want to do with the park, I don't think it's going to be, tearing everything up, everything's going to be gone.
I don't think that's
not
what
the
people are
case.
worried about. I think
Yeah.
they're just more worried about where could the funds be going in a place where it might help. People are really very concerned and confused about
Sure.
That's a lot of money, and people are like, wow, we've got all of these houses that are rat ridden,
Yeah.
and
Well, and see
let's
that-
bring those down instead, and
right,
our
but
park is
that's-
great. So,
That's the thing too. The park is okay as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be updates for sure. I don't know to this extent.
Yeah.
That's my whole thought process there. I don't think it needs to be done to this extent. And what the city has done, especially in the past decade too, as far as blight removal, unfortunately right now there's a total of 650
Yes.
empty lots around the city. But that's from a lot of blight removal. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So we need to redevelop those areas. Don't get me wrong. I understand
we do,
that.
I do. So what are your thoughts on, building these homes and hopefully attracting folks into the community to purchase the new homes
Yeah.
at $100,000? Do you
Sure.
think that our community can sustain that price?
And this is the first time I'm going to be talking about this. I have went back and forth in my own head about this a lot. And of course, who you're talking about right now is Vision 2025.
Yes, I am.
My thought process on that in particular is I'm not necessarily sure that it's a bad idea. I'm not
Right.
necessarily sure it's a good idea.
Right.
Okay, I appreciate what the JWF and the Plavsiks are doing as far as giving that first home to a veteran and rebuilding.
Yes, that's wonderful.
That is great.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, but I still believe, and I haven't seen all the numbers. I don't know exactly. I still believe that redeveloping older houses in the city is better than building new.
Thank you for standing,
I
for
really do.
answering that.
I really
Okay,
do.
folks, so you just heard that.
Yeah.
That's what people are wondering. I'm not
Yeah.
against Vision.
Not at all.
At all.
No.
Any organization or human being that is doing something positive for Johnstown,
Yeah.
I'm in.
And here, let me say one more thing. And like I said, since it's the first time I'm talking about it on
Yes.
camera, I want people to understand that no, I'm not against Vision 2025
Right.
whatsoever. But at the same time, people need to understand too that Vision 2025 is not Johnstown City Council.
That's right.
Johnstown City Council is a government organization of people elected by the people of this city to do the right things for this city. And we can work with other organizations, but when those two lines are blurred, and if they are, just know that the council comes before everything else because those are your elected officials.
Oh, thank you very much. I know community really was interested in that
Yeah.
answer. Okay, so now we're really getting into it. Thank
Yeah,
you very much for your
absolutely.
open and honesty. I have
Sure.
a question from Pam, and it's a little bit long. She's in the West End, Pam Renaudin, and she is, I think, born and raised here in Johnstown, and she's very active on nextdoor.com. And what she is asking you now is, given the state of the city, the lack of transparency to a population of a lot of seniors who lack awareness of what's going on with the council, a newspaper and local TV station that seems to cover little of what's really going on in Johnstown. Well, Pam, I will stop right there and let you know this is why I've decided to take on that task, because you are absolutely right.
She is.
Yes. Do you have any commentary on how we pull this town together and get on the same page to move this town forward? That's one question. And then I'll ask, and then she says, we see a lot of money going out to new businesses that fell and never pay back anything. Plans for a park that a whole lot of residents don't want. Okay, Pam, we already did discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
And helping people who really contribute to this city and now can't get help with keeping up their homes.
Sure.
So let's just sort of dissect this a little bit, because
Sure.
that's
It's multifaceted.
this is multifaceted question, and this is a question. These questions are on the forefront of most people that I speak to in Johnstown proper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll start with. Do you have any commentary on how we pull this town together and get on the same page to move forward?
I can say till I'm blue in the face that everything that City Council does is put in the Tribune Democrat. It's put on our website, the city website, all of that. I can say that till I'm blue in the face. At the end of the day, I still understand that people don't access those or don't have access to that or don't use that, right? I have talked with the lady in Roxbury who I actually worked with to organize our meeting at Roxbury Park. This was just 2 weeks ago, and about this exact issue, right? So we're actually going to start in Roxbury doing this, and I hopefully can do it throughout the city as well. We're going to put up message boards in the park.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and there are already some message boards there, but we're going to put up specifically message boards in Roxbury Park of council dates, whether that be workshops, codes workshops, something like that, council meeting dates, and special council meeting dates.
Do you have a website?
Not yet. My thing is that other than the message boards and what I want to do here, hopefully we can get them up through the whole city. I'm just starting this stuff in Roxbury because that's where I live.
Yes.
But like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do town halls, and that's just not just for my
Town halls
campaign.
are great. So with that being said, that some people are just not able to access the information that they need to access about our city council.
Yeah.
What about doing a newsletter?
Absolutely. That's something that whether we do it as a council or I do it myself, I am promising that I will do that. And the town halls that I was talking about earlier, yes, they're going to be for my campaign, but keep in mind that's not going to end there.
Oh, that's good to know.
I'm going to continue to do those,
Yeah.
that I can really get out to people and
Right.
for them to listen to what's going on. and me listen to what their concerns are, right?
Yes,
It's not just a
yes.
campaign
Bring
stunt.
the heat level down that way.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And it's not just a campaign stunt. This is something I'm genuinely concerned
No,
about.
I can see that.
And I want to talk with people. I want to hear what their concerns
A
are.
lot of money going out to new businesses that fail and never pay anything back. What
Yeah.
is that about?
That's just not acceptable in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I understand that the city wants to give, money out, whether it be through grants from the state or the federal government. And just from my perspective, okay, there's only certain things I can talk about just from my
Yes,
perspective alone.
right.
We've been in business here at Miller's for over 130 years. We have received little to no money from the city in that amount of time, but we've been able to do it for 130 years. You know what I mean? Through own self-determination and our customer base. Without them, we would not be here, right? And the problem is that you give this money out, you have to expect some return, right? To the city and to the consumer itself, right?
That's what people are so up in arms about.
Exactly. I mean, take the downtown
Because
yogurt
that's,
shop.
after all, it's their money.
Yeah, and take the downtown yogurt shop as an example. This is a story that was told to me. My uncle, my uncle lives in New York City, right? And apparently, I don't know if he lives there or not, but the person that was supposed to open that also lives there, right? And he called me one day, and he said, he was walking around Manhattan. He was wearing a Johnstown T-shirt that he had because he grew up here. And somebody stopped him. He goes, "What do you know about Johnstown?" He goes, "Well, I grew up there." And he goes, "Oh, I own a yogurt shop downtown." He called me up and he said, "How's that going?" I said, "It's never even opened."
Oh,
So
boy.
to me, that's not acceptable.
Yes,
I'm
so
not.
those kind of shenanigans that really have our community up in arms.
Yeah,
and
as they should be.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can't tell you right off the bat that I have an answer to that on how to stop that. But there are ways that if we do give money out, whether it's through the city, state, or federal government, that we have to put parameters around them for a return in that investment. They should be able to present a business plan to us that we would be able to look at and say, well, this will work over this amount of time, or no, this won't work. I'm not against funding for businesses downtown. What I am against is lack of transparency after the fact.
And I will have all of his contact information there, folks.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's great. And well, I think that just about wraps everything up. You've been so very open and
thank you.
really transparent here in this interview. And I want to thank you very much. You answered some questions that I didn't have on my list and that were some hot topics here in our community. I'm really pleased that you addressed them and very openly. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
And I look forward to working with you in the future. And folks,
Absolutely.
you know how I operate. I want to make sure that both sides of the fence get equal time because this is your vote, your community. It's coming up. Get involved. Follow us along. And until I see you the next time, stay friendly. Bye-bye.